And yeah, excited to have all of you here. It's been a 16-week program. We've been working with all of our startups. We have 6 graduating companies today, and they've been working with us on sessions 2 sessions every week throughout. Some one-on-one experiences and really learning from each other along the way. And it's been amazing to see all of the progress they've made from day 1 to the first demo day halfway through the program, and how they've all advanced since then. So really excited for them to be able to share all of their stories today, the exciting companies they're working on, and the investment opportunities they have to present to all of our great investors that have joined us for this demo day experience. So really excited to have all of our audience here, all of our exciting companies ready to present. And and basically we've set this up in a meeting format so that it's more interactive, and everybody can feel free to have your video on. The format is basically a up to 10-minute pitch from each company, followed by an open Q&A session from the investors. So feel free to jump in with 1 or 2 questions you have from each of the companies that are presenting. And we're also going to send out, after each company presents, a quick form you can fill out if you're interested in connecting for a follow-up. It's just 2 questions: which company you just heard, and what email is best to connect with the startups. So try to keep it pretty simple for everyone, and and let you connect with any pitch you've heard that you're really excited about and want to learn more. And again, thank you all for being here. Really excited for the pitches today. And our first presenter we're going to have kick things off is Akhil from Xena Intelligence. I'm going to turn it over to you to share your screen, introduce what Xena Intelligence is, and share your pitch today. And then anyone that has questions or wants to introduce themselves in the chat along the way, feel free to use that. And then we'll jump into the Q&A session where anybody can unmic and ask some questions directly as well. Thanks again, and Akhil, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Well, I set it up on behalf of the entire cohort of graduating startups. I think we'd all like to thank the Prepare for VC team, Jason, Steve, Gil, Chris, and Yev, for just this amazing experience of past 2 months. And it's really motivational and inspirational as we go. And on behalf of all of us, we'd like to thank you, and be happy to jump in. Hi everyone, I'm Akhil Suresh Nair. I'm the founder and CEO of Xena Intelligence. Xena Intelligence is basically a one-click AI-powered e-commerce growth platform. And to explain the concept in an easy way, I'd like to share a very, very short story. This is Mark. Mark is a small business owner. He's very hardworking. He's doing pretty well. He also has a wife and 2 very, very beautiful, beautiful kids. Mark sells a variety of products in his store. He's doing pretty well. He's licensing some of the products, he resells some of them, and so on. But when the pandemic hit, Mark realized that all his customers started running away from his store naturally. He lost a lot of sales. Mark went into some deep, deep depression. Then Mark thought, why not put up his products or his remaining inventory on platforms like Amazon and Walmart? And then eventually fell in love with the idea, because let's face it, that's the only option he has at this point. So Mark painstakingly learns everything there is to learn to sell on Amazon, and he lists all his products up, but soon realizes he's not making any sales because of very high competition and because he does not know what he's doing. Then Mark decides to run advertisements in the hope of generating some sales, but soon realizes because of the ad spend, the referral fees, and the consultants he pays to who actually know stuff about running ads, he's actually making peanuts at the end of the day. And this is very sad. So he decides to meditate on his problem. And that is when he comes across Xena Intelligence. Xena Intelligence is basically an AI-powered e-commerce growth platform, which uses data intelligence to automate and optimize e-commerce businesses on Amazon and Walmart.com. It uses proprietary algorithm, which has been developed over a period of 2 years to optimize sales on Amazon and Walmart. It also uses smart data analytics for very interesting data points like how much the competitors are selling, what the market share is, and how much one can expect to sell in the coming months. The only thing Mark has to do right now is open his app, and just with one single click, all his keywords are optimized, all his competitors are targeted, and he can also see how much he's expected to sell in the next 30 days, which means he can spend his time procuring goods and not on advertising. And thanks to all of this, Xena was able to take Mark to the moon, and he was able to live happily ever after and thriving better than ever before. Now, Mark might be a fictional character, obviously, because he's a stick figure, but his story is very much true. This is a lovely couple from Wellesley. They have a small store who we were able to help out during the pandemic, and now they're doing pretty well for themselves. So the real problem that exists right now for businesses is that Amazon is a black box. Nobody really understands what's happening. And the people who do claim to understand, the agencies and consultants, frankly, even they do not know, because Amazon is a moving target. The algorithm keeps changing, and one has to process a huge amount of data to make any decision. And also it can be time consuming if one so chooses to do it themselves. The solution to this is very simple. It's basically twofold. One is automation, automating all the processes which take a lot of time and effort, and also AI to actually make the decisions based on the automation and the data which is gathered. These two are basically the pillars of Xena Intelligence. So Xena Intelligence essentially has APIs which connect to Amazon and Walmart, and it takes a bunch of actions and decisions which include ad automation, smart analytics, pricing, competitor status, etc. For just to give an example, if you tell me any product on Amazon, Xena can tell you exactly, Xena can estimate how much they sold in the last 30 days. And this data can be really, really valuable to business owners. Xena has proven traction. We currently have 4 paying clients. Combined, we have generated more than $1 million in sales for our clients on Amazon and Walmart. We are also currently managing 250 different SKUs on these 2 platforms combined. On an average, we have seen a growth of more than 30% month over month, and a reduction of 40% in ad spend before and after we came. Recently, in the last month, we have also been approved by Amazon on the Amazon Marketplace developers, and also will be available on the Amazon App Store, which is used by Amazon sellers to discover new SaaS platforms to help their businesses grow. We are also in the current cohort of Mass Challenge, and I've also won the Tech Innovation Award at the Beta Challenge at Babson College. Our business model is extremely simple. We would provide it free of cost for all small businesses or businesses selling less than 50,000 a month on Amazon and Walmart. The logic behind this is that our passion has always been to help small businesses grow. And by democratizing the data on Amazon to these small businesses, I think is more critical than just charging any amount of money to them. So I think that's why we have kept it free of cost. And for larger companies or growing companies, we charge a very nominal fee, which is the industry average, and plus a performance bonus, depending on the type of company, so that they know that we have skin in the game. The same goes for enterprise level companies. One interesting thing that we have noticed on enterprise level companies is that apart from ad automation, they're also very curious to know about competitor data intelligence, which otherwise they would not get from anywhere else. So that could potentially be an added revenue source for us going forward. And what's next? We are currently generating a revenue of, on an average, $12,000 a month, but our expenses are slightly less at around $10,000 a month. Though technically we are profitable on paper right now, the real question is whether to bootstrap or not to bootstrap. Now let's look at the facts. The infrastructure costs are increasing. The more data we analyze, the more AI functionalities we implement, the infrastructure costs will definitely skyrocket. And Jeff Bezos is not making it easy for us, since the AWS pricing also seems to be increasing with time. And with a growing team, we have marketing, we have operations, we have a whole host of very highly motivated individuals who are working behind the scenes to make all this progress happen. And so given these 2 considerations, we think it's a perfect time to raise funds at this point. We are looking for strategic investors to raise $650,000, which would give us a 12-month runway till we reach our next round. This should give us enough time to gain more customers and vastly increase the functionality of our AI tool. They say finally that data is the new oil, and if that is the case, then Xena is the new oil rig. Thank you so much. I'd love to take questions.
Great job, Akhil. And yeah, so now we're going to open up questions from any of our audience investors here. So we're going to do it. Yeah, feel free to be the first ones on mic and ask any questions you might have right now.
I have a few questions. Great presentation. I like how you kept it really simple and the stick figure, just simplified it. And then with the real life family. Did you say they're from Wellesley?
That's correct.
Oh, I grew up in Needham, so I'm very familiar. But so I love hearing the familiar towns. So a couple questions. You know, I always get nervous when there's like a, you know, you're at the mercy of one player, like you're at the mercy of Amazon. You know, when they change their algorithm, when they change, they're constantly changing, like, then you're constantly changing. So there's a lot of risk associated with that. So I would like you to comment about how you're going to manage that risk. And then in addition to that, like this kind of maybe relates to you never mentioned like an exit strategy. I know you haven't even funded yet, but do you, I mean, I know it's early, but it's great that you have traction, but as it relates to the being at the mercy of Amazon and them kind of being the gatekeeper and how you manage that risk, would you even consider having discussions with them, or would they be like an acquisition? Like, can you talk a little bit about that? Because it kind of gets me nervous.
Got it. I think it gets us nervous as well. It keeps me up at night, actually. And you're right, Amazon is undoubtedly the biggest player in the e-commerce market, highest number of traction. And they have made it extremely easy for developers to build tools on their backend, unlike the other players like Walmart. But recently, companies like Walmart, Etsy, eBay, all these guys are also seeing how good it can get if they give access to their backend to developers. So we're also working with Walmart right now. But the reason that I don't mention it or emphasize it is because they're like 1/10 of the sales of traction of Amazon. So it's, though we can do it, we are currently focusing on Amazon because of the obvious advantages. But going forward, I like what a company did. So they're a company called Tika Metrics. They're also based in Boston. They could be considered our competitors. They've been around for 6 years, recently raised 70 million in Series A. So what those guys did was they started with Amazon, and then eventually they expanded it into other sources of online advertising like Instacart, or you have Etsy and you have eBay. So I think that's a smart thing that they did. So they hedged their all bets over different competitors so that hopefully not all of them fail at any point. So I think that's a good strategy that we can follow as well.
Yeah, I would just make a comment when you're presenting to other investors, if that's the route that you go, to make sure that you address the risk mitigation of just being with one player, like mentioning that, or even having almost like a commenting about your algorithm that it can be applied to numerous, and maybe even show like a graph or a chart that has all the other players, that just makes an investor less nervous.
Got it. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you so much for that. And in terms of acquisition, like I said, Tika Metrics recently raised. There are not a lot of players in the market because I think people are just starting to see potential. So there are a lot of new companies propping up. One example of an acquisition that I can give is a company called Helium 10, which is also pretty well known amongst Amazon sellers. They are constantly acquiring other smaller startups or companies so they can potentially add on to their functionality. I think they're trying to consolidate everything. So that could be one, but I'd like to think much bigger, and probably we could grow big enough to acquire other startups as we go along. So that's kind of what I have in mind personally.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Great. Yeah, great question. Any other questions for Akhil?
Yes. Hi, Akhil. Can I interfere? Yeah, I'm Nariman. I'm here from Dubai, United Arab Emirates. First of all, I liked how you highlighted on the real pain that the e-commerce is really suffering from. I am in this field as well. I do have my e-commerce, and we do suffer with a lot of the pains that you have just mentioned. I do share my concern with Renata when you have focused only on Amazon. But what I want to talk more about the pitch and what the factors you were missing. So remember that your pitch is not always presented when you are talking, so your pitch should talk by itself. So I believe for the next improvement that you need to do is first you need to put your go-to-market strategy a little bit clearer, your revenue model as well. And you mentioned something that I advise you not to do it again. I know that sometimes some of the startups think or believe, or maybe they are ahead of the competition, but especially as a tech startup, by the time we're talking now, a new genius or an entrepreneur is rising. So your competition analysis need to be very strong. Even if you are ahead of the competition, try to anticipate your next competition and to make it clear, also not to scare the investor, or also not to make him work so hard by doing his market validation, market research that takes more time to collect those data. I'm really interested with what you're doing. We'll hopefully have maybe a one-to-one chat. I don't want to take much time, but I just noticed those concerns, which I would just like you to advise you to be able to improve them for your next pitch. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nariman. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, great advice. And thanks for the interest there as well. Yeah, any other questions before we move on to our next presenter here?
And I'd love to connect separately as well. I received a few direct messages. Looking forward to connecting with each of you going forward. Thank you so much for your feedback.
Sounds good. Yeah, great job. I'm going to submit in the chat here a quick link. Again, just simple. Just select that it was Zena you heard and what your email address is if you want to connect after and learn more. Thanks again. Great presentation, and excited to bring up Sebastian as our next presenter here to tell us about Moniker.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone.
Great. Yeah, whenever you're ready. Perfect. Yeah, share your screen and the floor is yours.
Can everyone see my screen?
You can.
Awesome. Well,
Great.
my name is Sebastian Pereira. I am the founder of Moniker. And in 2018, I started a podcast called History of South America. And after building up an audience, I found out I could not monetize it because none of the platforms work in my country, in Bolivia, in South America. So I decided to investigate alternative payment channels, and that's how I came in contact with the blockchain. Moniker is a platform from people like Jasmine. Jasmine is in her early 20s, and she wants to be a travel influencer. She joins 50 million other Americans that are trying to do the same. And she needs to be in platforms such as YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Patreon, just to name a few, in order to be successful. But now that she's an influencer, she has a new set of problems. These platforms charge very high fees. And now that she is famous, she has actually an entire team behind her. She has an agent, a publicist, a video editor, image consultant, and social media manager, just to name a few. To afford these people, she needs to produce content constantly, and that is burning her out. And worst of all, this content is pirated, sometimes in less than 36 hours, meaning that her revenue window is very close. So she's feeling burnout and she's thinking of quitting. But Moniker has the solution. We start with a blockchain domain name. In a blockchain domain name, she is the sole sovereign of this place, and she doesn't need to worry about terms of service changing behind her. From her domain, she can sell tokens as rewards. Brands that want to talk to Jasmine can also tokenize their offerings, so she is sure to be able to distribute them to the entire audience, regardless of their geographic location. When she's trying to sell a visual content, she can transform it into an NFT and sell it also through the blockchain. When that content is resolved, she will also get a portion of that revenue, creating long-term value. Finally, any extra revenue she has, she can lock it in a savings smart contract. Moniker will use that money to provide liquidity to exchanges, meaning that she will have a second source of revenue and Moniker will have a second business model. But if you are an investor, why should you care? Well, in 2016, the content creation economy was less than $1 billion. Today, in 2021, it's more than $13 billion. It has grown 30% year over year, and there are more than 2 million content creators making more than 6 figures in the United States alone. But we also have a lot of competitions because of this rich market. In terms of fees, other platforms charge between 50 and 20% of the money received by the content creator. They do not offer any control. They're all centralized platforms, meaning that the terms of service of these platforms can change at any time, leaving the content creator at risk of losing their money. They do not offer any protection for piracy. The content in Patreon and such platforms is very easy to pirate, and content provided in YouTube and Twitch is subject to theft on a constant basis. Finally, they do not have any resale value. Content is only a one-time deal in these platforms, and there is no incentive to engage with content long-term for the creator. So what is our market adoption strategy? We're going to start with visual media influencers. They are the most affected for piracy. They are the ones that will benefit the most from blockchain distribution, and they have highly engaged audiences. To them, we can offer lower transaction fees, recurring revenue for resales, and a novel set of tools to engage your audiences. Our addressable market in this new context is 112 million users that buy premium content in the United States alone. The average monthly earning for a content creator in the United States is $180. In a year, we're planning to engage 100,000 creators for $1.8 million in the first year. Long term, we can see ourselves growing to $300 million yearly revenue. So what were you asking for? We are planning to raise $500,000 in order to build the basic functionalities of our platform, in order to create a marketing strategy, in order to engage the content creators, and use this as a base for a token sale in the future to raise more money so we can complete the functionalities of the platform. Thank you for the attention.
Great job, Sebastian, on your presentation there, and excited to open it up for any questions or comments from our audience here.
I'm going to kick it off again, Renata. I have a question. Great job. One of the things I'm curious about that I didn't see, it'd be great to see a financial model. I don't know if you have that in appendix, but more importantly, I always like to go back to what the trends are, like who's the target audience, what's the future trends of influencing. I'm a marketer. I have 20 years in marketing, a booth MBA, focused on marketing and brand. And so I really like market research and understanding kind of where the trends are in the future in the next 5 to 10 years. We really need to focus on the millennials and Gen Z coming through the pipeline. And one of the things I've researched and studied at Booth back in the fall of 2018 was most of the Gen Z and millennials are, and the brands, the big brands, are not using influencer marketing. Marketing is shifting towards more of an authentic marketing, whereas millennials and Gen Zs won't buy products based on fake influencers saying, hey, I use this product, or hey, I travel here, so I'm gonna, this really good looking woman is traveling into like Baja, California, or whatever, so I'm gonna go travel there. So I wanna know if you've done any research, psychographic data, market research on the future of marketing as it relates to the Gen Z and the millennial market, because that's going to be something that an investor is going to care about, because this could all go away. Your platform could all go away if into really understanding what the trends are in influencer marketing. And because you have no control over how these people are marketing. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So yeah, it is true that marketing influencing has sort of burned out the market, right? So it is very easy to spot now when an influencer is being fake and just trying to promote a product to get money. So actually where things are moving now is where the influencers are coming up with their own brands and not relying on luxury brands from third parties. And a lot of that new type of branding is not physical product, but actually digital products. So for example, in my domain blockchain, 2 months ago, a big influencer, Logan Paul, actually created a set of NFTs of collectible cards, and the entire set sold for $6 million in less than 24 hours. So there is already a demand for blockchain-based digital products by influencers. And that's not the only example. For example, there is another big influencer marketing team on the space that is called Face Clan. And collectively, they have launched more than 6 crypto tokens by themselves, and they have raised between 1.2 million and $2.5 million, depending on the individual tokens. So there is a demand for this type of products by influencers, by their audiences. I believe this is where the market is moving, because blockchain merges information distribution and value distribution in a single technology.
Can you just clarify? I mean, maybe it's just me being green on this, but I mean, I don't know much. I've not heard of FacePlan. I wrote it down. I'll look into it. But the NFT market, why it's so great, and like with these cards, like what makes it so enticing to those populations?
Well, an NFT is a non-fungible token that it can be verified that only that it has a limited supply, right? So when Logan Paul released this set of cards, you can verify through the blockchain that only a limited number of these cards exist. And because they live on a blockchain, they can be resold. So if I'm not so much a follower of Logan Paul, but I want to profit from this sale, I can buy the cards early, wait until the market liquidity runs down, and resell them at a higher price. So actually, when an influencer is selling to the blockchain, he has a new audience, an audience of token investors, and the regular audience of the public that just wants to connect with them. So in that aspect, blockchain is offering influencers a new market of the blockchain investors, token investors.
Okay, cool. Thank you sorry for you explained it well. Now I feel like now I don't have to take a class on NFTs. No, thank you. No, I get it. I get it now.
Oh, great question, great response, Sebastian. And yeah, I would like to open it up if there's any other questions from our audience as well. Or feel free to submit through the chat too, and we can ask directly. All right, yeah, if there's no other questions, I'm going to submit the interest form here. So if you're interested in connecting, learning more about Moniker afterwards, just fill out that quick submission, put your email in, and we'll send out a follow-up. Great job, Sebastian, and excited to bring up our next presenters, Natalie and Silvana, to introduce Darshana. Okay.
There you go. Can you see my screen? Just checking.
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. Wonderful. Let me get started. You'll see some screenshots as I start speaking. So we spend many years working with these diverse communities. We're a diverse team, always looking to give back. And after running some online hackathons, we have a front-end experience with tech, diverse communities worldwide. We started noticing that there was a lot of talent from unimaginable backgrounds. And, there were, from several locations, running along, underrepresented and underrated. And this immediately took shape as a problem that needed to be faced structurally and with a technical solution to unlock value for all parties. And then this is when Darshana came to birth. This is something that came to us with all the work we've been doing before. So if you see what Mark Benioff is saying about, and that is what we mean by stakeholder capitalism, serving all stakeholders, including the workforce. We shouldn't be able to do a thing without the workforce right now. Everything is built on the workforce. So with all the work we've been doing for all these past years, we are all the team entirely built with diverse talent. We face that firsthand. So this is why we're building this. This is presenting today Natalie Gil and Tano Lopez. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Darshana. We're building today a decentralized, data-driven platform that connects diverse tech talent with job opportunities. Those are actual pictures from actual people. We work on some of the events we run in the past years on some of the activities we run, raising hands, interactive with them right before the pandemic. Current day, 60-to-1 job postings to candidates. You don't have experience, you have no opportunity. Some of the platforms, they put delayed payment, really high intermediation fees, because as any other platform, you really have maximizing the value, not the value for all the parties. Soon to be, with that platform we're putting together, decentralized jobs for tech workers, fair and smooth payment, cross-pollination skills. This is more based on what we are, a platform where people can get jobs, a place where peer-to-peer validation provides tech talent the value. We are a tech community. What we are not, intermediaries focused merely on transactions, just a marketplace, and a place that reinforces bias and silos, where you've seen some places where you're the top, you have a good reputation, you get the opportunities, and you keep getting the opportunities, and you reinforce that, right? That's what there's a lot of diversity networks, community networks. Again, we are diverse talent. We got opportunities, but we will our way up. We break a lot of glass ceilings, and we crack those. But there's a lot of people we witness firsthand from a lot of countries from around the world. They deserve those opportunities, and we are putting together something for them. Competitive advantage for what we're building. User-centric marketplace, certainly. All these platforms, LinkedIn, Upwork, Total, others, of course, they're doing a great job putting together something that is user-centric. But decentralized, something that is peer-to-peer, introducing tokenization for incentives for all the parties, value for all the parties, for real. AI-based matching, of course. Everybody's using an AI at some point to get the best matches, not only for work, jobs, and workers. But LinkedIn, of course, started matching you for interactions and community work. But if you also gonna put some incentives on that, that's new. And if you're intentional to do that, it's different if you train your algorithms, if you train your machines to do something different, because then the incentives are distributed through all the parties. What I mean with that is probably seen this example, right? And this is way around on HBS and all business cases from all business schools around these hacks on the platforms around Uber getting a lot of the inefficiencies on who gets the best of the inefficiencies, the driver, the rider, or Uber. You see all these fares, like crazy fares on the platforms. It's not that like that anymore, I think, but the platforms always get the best incentives, right? We want that to be fairer, to have these incentives distributed. So far, a milestone we got with all these events we ran after some years, because we were doing this before Darshana. Boston Blockchain Week, we reached 33 countries, a lot of people around the world. We pivoted to Darshana based on what we witnessed on this talent. We want to unlock value for them. We reached our MVP, and as we speak, we started receiving emails. Actually, some hours ago, we started closing our first deals on people hired over the platform. And some weeks ago, we closed agreement with Algorand Foundation. Algorand Foundation is it's a foundation for a company based in Boston, a very serious blockchain company that it's pushing the borderless shared economy, which is also based on a lot of the sharing, a lot of the share incentives. We push around sharing what we want to do. Deploy and scale. We're going around December 2021, and we keep moving. Putting together a number of things that I'm going to share as we speak. Right now, $4.5 trillion gig economy. This is a potential total addressable market. 150 billion on the human cloud, which is talking about the companies that I mentioned that are our direct competition. but right now, just the top 5 human cloud market is 5 billion, and this has a lot of potential, really, a lot of potential. So it's just really not covered, and we are just entering a market that has a lot of potential to grow. Just 6% of workers find jobs of on-demand digital platforms. There's a lot of room to grow, and this has been growing during the pandemic. Of course, there's something that it's obvious because of what's happening. A scalability roadmap. What we're doing is, of course, one side, and I think I put it clear around the communities we engage, especially in Latin America, but also we have communities around the world. But also the B2B part, which is the companies we're reaching, but we have a strong network in Americas, also a B2B, the companies that potentially can hire talent, not in the Americas, but also in Asia. So we're activating that network and also our diverse communities to really spin the wheel and make this, start working for us. And we have a very aggressive timeline in terms of putting this together. Price, we have subscriptions, but also we have one-timers if we want to apply for jobs. Users pay very few dollars to be on the platform. If they want to pay subscription, companies, because of the willingness to pay, they pay more. They also can pay one time if they want to hire people. We have both gig workers, like freelancers. We have also full-time right now because of the market research with it. The users, they all can also pay with their work. This is the type of incentive they do in the community, and because we are tokenized, so they can also earn, to pay for the fee. Competitive advantage. We are top of mind diversity. We are diverse. We think diversity. But the thing is that we also think of the satisfaction of people around, and it's not only about the incentive, but also credibility, and also that they are around the platform. They build a community. They keep the community alive. The other thing is that we are very efficient because we are data driven, and the distributed ledger, the blockchain part, is also important because we also be transparent, we can be efficient, we can build trust, and the tokenization help us also, create more value. About the team, the co-founders, we're Latin American women. We are all from different countries. Actually, we are graduated from top schools. We built our way up, and we actually make things happen for big companies through all our careers. And we have experts in a number of things: lawyers, engineers, economists, marketers, and we have experts, of course, great advisors that build things not only in blockchain but also in talent. So that's us, and we are asking right now. We have more details on our runway, but for a year and a half, $1.5 million for finishing our launching, putting more features on our MVP. And sustain the growth and more of the business development, and making the platform sustainable and grow more and more and more. That's us. Thank you for having us today. Again, I'm Natalie Gil, co-founder and CEO for Darshana.
Great job, Natalie. Excited to open it up for any questions on everything you presented here. Anyone have questions on Darshana and their job platform and marketplace?
Any feedback is also welcome if you see that there's some room to improve, really, really.
Oh, we did get one. Yeah, one question through the chat. What markets or what types of jobs are you launching? Are you launching first on the platform?
So excellent question. So first type of jobs are three types. front-end programmers, back-end programmers, and full stack programmers. And they are from all levels, junior, senior, and very senior. Yeah, so those are the ones that really, they're asking more. Why? Because our network is mostly composed by very fast growing startups in Asia and Latin America. So they're growing by some of them, they're hiring 50, 100, some of them they're buying 200, 500 people. So they are growing their tech teams. So that's where we're spotting, and this is backward roles in it. Yeah, so.
Cool. Yeah, and then we had a question on how this came out of the Boston or the blockchain group that you're part of.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I guess a question on the origin part from the meetup group you're working with, like how this got started from the blockchain startup week.
Oh, so that was let's say a more of a aha moment, because we were already working for a long time on that, not long time, but very fast year, and then we were on the Boston Blockchain Week in 2018, and then we decided, because there were there was a New York Blockchain Week hackathon. So I participated in 2018. So I decided why we should do a Boston Blockchain Week hackathon global. So what we decided to do is to do a bigger Boston Blockchain Week, not to have the New York Boston Blockchain, do to the New York Blockchain Week bigger, because we wanted the Boston Blockchain Week to be bigger. So that's what we launched this. And then, we got more people online because it was online. So that's why we did that. And then that's why we got at this a lot of people from all around the world. So then we said, we already had a lot of people from Latin America. And then when we launched this, we had these people from around the world. So we said, okay, this is huge. We have, a lot of talent. So then when decided, like, okay, this is something that we got to pivot, because there's a lot of talent and we can unlock value for them to shift our initiative, not only to give them, a short spotlight on hackathons, but also to give them a longer term and sustainable opportunity on jobs.
Perfect. Yeah, great answers there. Any other questions before we move on to our next presenter?
Jason, let me just jump in here.
Sure.
Natalie, great presentation. So as you were discussing about your two-sided marketplace, I was intrigued to the fact that both sides are paying customers, both your applicants and also your corporations. Can you describe more about why you have this pricing structure and a couple of the numbers, and what are the incentives for both people to pay to have access to the marketplace and for the corporations as well?
Yes, so we were thinking of not asking the users to pay, because the willingness to pay comes from the companies, right? So they're just, they need to pay, and that's that. But then we wanted to get more information from even if they pay $1 or they pay the dollar through their participation on the platform, because they're tokenized. So let's say they put 3 comments, or they spend 10 minutes mentoring somebody, and that's worth $5 or something. So they really put effort or money on the platform, and that's something about that's something back to platform theory, right? It's like, if you don't pay and you're not around, you don't pay for an event. If you pay 50 cents, you're gonna show up, right? If you pay something, then you're gonna feel responsible. So you're gonna show up because you're paying, and then you're gonna be around. So at this point, we're also seeing if the model works, right? And we're combining a number of things we put on the model, so that should work. Even if they stick to the platform, working on earning that dollar to pay for the month, or they pay for the dollar and then stick around because they feel that they need to get some value for the dollar they're paying for the month. So that's what, because the value is not like they pay for the dollar and you just get the dollar and that's it. The value is that they stick to the community, so they interact there, because if they're just going to get a job, probably they're going to stick for 6 months and they're going to leave. But if they stick to the community, to the market, to the community, and they interact, then they're going to stick around for years, because then they shift jobs, I don't know, once a year or twice a year, but they're going to stick to the community forever. So that's why I mentioned we are first a community, then a marketplace. There are some places that they are first a marketplace, then a community. So that's where we are going to monetize that, because there's more data on the community, because we get to know more people, because they think about this, they're asked about this particular code, they ask about these things, or whenever they search about a job, they're searching about Python or everything. So that's what we put together, this business model. But we need to get more data in order to validate that. But that's our premise, right? Could be wrong, but based on what our assumptions, there's something that should work better than the other side, based on the shared economy assumption as well, and based on what we validate with our chief economists. Hopefully that answered your question, Marcos.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, great question and response, Natalie. And yeah, great presentation. I'm going to submit the form again in the chat if you're interested in connecting with Darshana afterwards. So yeah, great job there. Our next presenter is going to be Robyn. And yeah, excited to have you present the Anjanette to everyone here today.
Hello, everyone. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Robyn Arnold, and I'm the founder and CEO of Anjanette. That's actually my middle name. We make people look good and feel good. That is our focus. We curate, design, and sell sensory-friendly clothing, accessories, and luxury items for underserved body shapes. Many people struggle to find clothing that they like and that fits well, especially for women. Women have been forced to fit into standard sizes in the industry. And that is simply because designers tend to design for one body shape, which includes two other variants. There are 3 variants of the hourglass, which is the standard for women's clothing. This is a problem because that only services 20% of the marketplace. Most people have different body shapes. As a matter of fact, there was a study done using artificial intelligence where there were observations of body shapes as people walked around in the same area over a series of 5 years, and they discovered 6 more body shapes. So if you take the 3 hourglass and the remaining 6, you have 9 body shapes. So over $100 billion of clothing and accessories and needs of people are being missed. We're being forced to wear something different. Then you tack on, some people have sensory issues. 1 in 20 people have sensory issues with clothing. We're talking about your sight, your taste, your smell, and of course you have the other 2 senses, hearing, and you don't, I'm not talking about that. I'm only talking about 3 of the 5. I'm only talking about sight. I'm only talking about how clothes feel when you touch them and what they smell like. This is a problem for a lot of people, and they are making clothing choices based on that. To have, you want to have a better fit, so you maybe go up a size. And when you do that, you get frumpy looks from your clothing. You may feel embarrassed about how you look, or you may have tightness where you don't want it. It's just a real problem. And so it's not flattering. Again, we want to change that because we are not all an hourglass. When I talk about sensory issues, things that we're considering are like the tags in the back of the shirt around your neck. That's bothersome for a lot of people. What do? We cut it out, or we don't buy the product at all. Fabrics matter. One of our designers, she happens to have sensory issues, and she looks at the fabric and she tells us how it makes her feel just looking at it. It's a real thing for a lot of people. Raised seams are also troublesome. Overall, this is a problem. Again, some people didn't even realize what to call it. It's a real problem. If you have severe issues with it, a lot of times in the autism community, people have sensory issues, but you don't have to have autism to have sensory issues. I am a parent of a child with autism, and he has some sensory issues. So I know firsthand what this is like. A lot of times we focus on kids, but as people age and become adults, those problems still exist. We just have to deal with it. So at Anjanette, we are curating and designing for the sensory friendly clothing as well as underserved body shapes. We are pivoting because we've started out drop shipping and decided and learned from that experience that this is more of the same. We're not helping the people that are having these issues. So we want to solve that problem. We also will have a set of designers that will design for us, and they will be focused on these qualities in clothing. The advantages are vast. I mean, they're great. When you buy something that fits you, you feel good because you look good and you're happy about that purchase. I think everyone has experienced that. If you don't have to get it tailored, that's an added bonus. That's a cost savings. Additionally, in the industry, there are over $500 billion spent on returns. What a waste. If you think about all the fabric and clothing that gets thrown away, it's contributing to the landfill problems. So there's a lot to be gained here in the world, in the economy, and on the earth, planet, and with individuals, making them feel good. It doesn't get better than that. The retail and e-commerce space makes a lot of money. And I think that's a no-brainer. A lot of people recognize that. We're talking trillions of dollars. If you look at my graph here, just between 2019 and 2020 alone, we increased growth almost 3 times the amount, in the billions. That is a lot of sales, a lot of marketplace that we could be impacting in a positive way. 2021 is on the same trajectory, but we don't have the end state yet, but we can project that we're still going down the same path. A lot of people are hesitant in going into large malls or being with large groups of people because they don't want to go and they don't want to get COVID. They don't want to be impacted. And so they're getting comfortable and used to this model of working remotely or being at home or staying socially distanced, and they're thinking about clothing differently. They're shopping online. We're finding that more and more digital natives, we're talking about your millennials and your Gen Zers, they are shopping more, as well as your high wage earners, which is why we have the luxury component. The sky's the limit. This problem is not unique to the United States. We do have a provisional patent that we just pursued and got green lighted for, so we're excited about that. We will pursue this in other countries. The sky is the limit because this issue exists with most people. It's not unique. The competitive landscape is low. We have found through lots of research that people often say places service sensory-friendly clothing. They're talking about either in a therapeutic way. I once saw a man, his arms were wrapped like this, and he was getting compression, which made him feel good. I'm not talking about that. We are designing clothing that is fashion forward. We want people to be able to go into the office or go on a date or go shopping or go wherever they want and not worry about their clothing choices. They pick that item that they love and it feels good. That's what we want to change. Other competitors, they are designing for kids. There's a lot of sensory-friendly clothing for kids, but it's not available for adults. We're also finding consumers saying certain products are sensory-friendly, and it's because they found it to be, not because we're selling them that way or designing them with that in mind. So there's a lot of potential here. Our business model covers direct to consumer as well as subscription. Direct to consumer would consist of our curation and what we design for the customers. We have a prototype that I'm picking up this week. And if all goes well, we will mass produce. And this will be something that people can pick based on their body shape. And what makes it different is because we're looking at the actual shape of the individual. So they will answer a series of questions, simple questions. We don't want it to be an arduous process. We want to make sure it's simple. We store our data and we learn from that and tweak our inventory based on what they need and want, not what we think. The subscription model will consist of a group of designers that are committed to the Anjanette mission, and they will design for us. They will be able to brand themselves and work directly with the customers on some level of customization with clothing choices. Again, with the same mission and vision in mind. This will be a subscription model for the consumer, and then we're also looking at the first set of designers. We will get a portion of the sale, a small percentage of each sale that they make. So that's 3 revenue streams. Our team, I decided not to just include leaders because it takes all of us to get this work done. It's a lot. And I'm most proud of the fact that we are so nimble. We don't worry about titles and who's doing what when it comes to, there's a business need. Can somebody do this? If you have those skills, which a lot of times many people do, regardless of title, we just do it. We get it done. That's what I love about our culture. We're based on integrity, transparency, and teamwork. Very important to all of us. My request is $1 million. If you think about what we're embarking on, our ability to move faster is key. When we work with manufacturers and they have minimums, we have to be able to move fast. And the amount of marketing that you have to do is a lot. I would say that's probably the biggest lesson that we've learned along the way, is how much we need marketing. I've always valued it, but I can't tell you how much I wish we had more of. And that is based on how much money we have. So that is why you see 35% for marketing, because it's a significant part of the retail space and what we have to do. Again, Robyn Arnold. I have been in retail for, retail has been part of my life, and fashion has been part of my life since childhood. My mother was a buyer, so I grew up watching someone shop. Additionally, I worked in IT for over 25 years, including working at Hudson's Bay Company, which is a major retailer. They owned Saks off Fifth Ward and Taylor at the time, where I was digital director. So I got firsthand experience on how this all works and the people involved. And that's why we want to make a difference. And we pulled on people who also felt the same way. As a matter of fact, somebody worked at Saks even. So it's kind of nice to be on this journey. So I thank you. I'm the founder and CEO of Anjanette, and I thank you for your time.
Great job, Robyn. Great presentation, and excited to open up for any audience questions here.
I have some questions. I have some comments on the presentation itself, in terms of how much time you spend on certain parts of it and just how the flow. And then I have comments on the problem area. I do believe it, as a female and someone who's obsessed with fashion. I also was in customization earlier in my career, working for Reebok, doing customized footwear. So this has been a problem in various sectors in the fashion industry, and no one's really been able to tackle it. I'm also friends with the founder of ZipFit. So I know, and we can talk a little bit about, you do not have a competitive matrix on there. You need to include that. You're not the only one that's trying to solve this problem. And one of the things I always say to founders is, don't act like you're the only one. Like it's actually humbling and the right move to make, to actually include that there's other people doing this and why you're better. So let me just talk about the flow first. So one of the things, you spend a lot of time on the problem, and I think maybe shorten the amount of time you spend on the problem, because we know what the problem is. So just maybe a couple minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and spend more time on the solution. I didn't really know the solution till like 3/4 of the way into it, and you kind of skipped over it. Whether or not you don't want to give away the farm and your solution, I think you need to give more information on how you're solving the problem. So the one thing I would say is the total addressable market, like a pie chart saying, you say it's a big problem, you say it's a big problem, it's a big problem. How big, quantify how big the problem is, how many, and I think you do it later, but earlier up front, like slide 2, after you say what the problem is, here's how big it is. And then I would say, here's our solution. Like it is going to be, a profile, we'll profile the candidate, we'll ask a series of questions like, what are their sensory issues? What kind of clothing do they like? What are they sensitive to? What is their body shape? You had the graph, but just show like, what is it going to look? Maybe it's an IT intake. And then with relation to that, and then you can show like, here's some other competitors doing doing this, but this is how we're better, and show it in like one slide. And then also what I suggest is, because you're showing how big the problem is with the sensory and the shape. So then you know that there's a loophole that no one's addressing. And if you can show that in even showing like some of the other brands out there, the mainstream brands that, that aren't, I mean, you kind of do it, but just they're not addressing it, like just showing how big it is. Because people like an investor like me will be like, oh my God, people are totally missing this mark. But I know it is. Like you said it, because I have friends who are moms and their kids have autism and they can't wear certain things. It's a nightmare to parents. So I get it. I do believe it, but you just need to show it in your deck. I know it's up in your head and you have the data, but you just have to show it. And then your go-to-market strategy, like you did not have a slide on go-to-market. Like, how are you going to acquire these customers? Is it, I mean, I know you said the business model, but what is the cost to acquire these customers? How are you going to find them? What is your plan? And I know you're 35% on marketing, but how are you going to use that money? How are you going to do ads? Like, are you going to have cross promotions with other, that you have to show how. And then also your financial model, what are your projections look like? What do your margins look like with your customer acquisition costs? What do you project? Like, I know you don't have the data, but just after you run the math. And then the other thing as it relates to team, and I know it's awesome that you have a team that helps each other out, but spending less time on, hey, we work well together, and more on, hey, here's the IT expert that's going to build that algorithm to do the customer intake profile that's going to do. And then also, the team of designers, what's your logistics? Like, I feel like that could be a problem here with, I know you mentioned drop ship, but how are you going to get someone their customized outfit? How long is that going to take? Are you going to set it up where there's like, here's like pear shape, here's whatever the different body types, and you're going to actually make inventory based on those body shapes? And how are you going to manage that inventory? Is there anyone on your team? Sorry, I'm going on. Is there anyone on your team that is an expert at inventory management in retail? So these are the questions that I think are in my mind, but you probably have the answers. So I just think going through, and we can always, I'm more than happy to follow up saying, here's the steps of your deck. And so you're successful, like, and then also filling in some of the logistics, some of the operations, and the go-to-market. I think it will improve your pitch. Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't mean to monopolize the conversation.
No, thank you for all the feedback. It was incredibly helpful. Yeah, I guess I'll touch on just a couple things. You mentioned the competitors. Yes, there are lots of people that are making designs and asking questions about body shapes. How we're different is they're not designing for the body shapes. They're saying, like, if you have this body shape, you should be wearing A-line clothes. Okay, that's just one example. We're saying, no, we're going to design this shirt and it's going to come out based on your shape. It will widen where you need it to be widened. So the fit is better. We're making tuckable shirts. You can button them up. It's not this, I have to figure out how to make it fit. We're trying to make it fit for the individual body shape. And it will be associated with sizes. So you would have like a sub size based on, say if you had a rounder belly, so you may have another version of the shirt versus some of the other body shapes. So it just depends. It will depend on the body shape and the size they wear. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's why we have a prototype.
Yeah, I will say this, just so my feedback from Reebok is we tried to do customized shoes for each individual, but the problem is when you do a fit it with a mold, like molded to your body, molded to your foot with a scanner. And so, so you may want to look at that. And Nike ID also did that. But what we realized was that if you customize too much, some people like a looser fit, some people, you just can't tell that. So you really have to do a good job with the intake form.
Yes.
Because everyone has their own thing. The other company you want to look at is Levi's has a flagship store in San Francisco. This was years ago. I don't know if it still exists, but they have in the dressing room, a body scanner that scans and prints out your body shape. And when I got it done for me, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I look like that. And they had designers waiting outside the dressing room, and they would get your measurements and they would sit there and they would design the aesthetics part with you. And then you'd get your pair of jeans shipped to your doorstep 3 weeks later. So I would benchmark against some of those other competitors that are not, that have done it in the past.
Thank you. Thank you. The last thing I'll mention is logistics. So for what we're designing, it's going through, manufacturing, and then they will mass produce, and then it will go through our logistics. We have partnered with a company to do the logistics for us.
Thanks. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
No, I'm passionate about that.
I am too. I was like trying to jump in. I don't know you, but it was great listening to your feedback because I had a lot of the same questions. I actually wanted to touch on what Renata was saying about the body scanning, because I'm wondering if you can integrate with one of the current apps that are out there for like scanning, because I don't want to throw a wrench in it, but let me just tell you all the companies that I advise personally or that we've invested in that are manufacturing right now. Supply chain is an absolute disaster, and it is not getting worked out in the next year or two. So I'm wondering, as like a stepping stone, have you thought about being able to let someone scan their body and then just recommend existing products, like merge a catalog with that? So like an elevated Stitch Fix. And the other thing I wanted to say about what Renata was saying about competition is, on your slide, you need to include some of these like services like Nordstrom's, like the Trunk Club and Stitch Fix, because those are all peripheral competitors, whether they're direct competitors or not. They are, curating clothes for your body type. So how are you differentiating yourself, and how is your customer survey differentiating itself from what they're doing? Because I think there needs to be a level of education that kind of goes with what you're talking about for the consumer. So like they realize either they're getting a custom shirt or that you're curating products that fit more closely what they're looking for. And as a mom of an autistic child who has all these sensory issues, like I always, like, nobody says whether the products are tagless or not. So I have to physically shop for clothes. So, just also fabric content is important, so I'm wondering if there's a way to integrate some AI into what you're doing to make it less labor intensive and just streamline and automate a lot of what you're doing.
100%.
So I don't know. Okay, so I didn't get that from your slide, but I would want to know that for sure as an investor, that like, because what you're doing, and I know some of the founders at Stitch Fix and stuff, and what they do is heavily labor intensive and heavily, people intensive. So if you can take a lot of that out and you can streamline a lot of that through, AI and tech, that would be what I would want to be hearing. So I listen to probably 100 pitches a week, just to be clear, and Jason sits in on some of those with me, but like really refining the problem more succinctly and quickly, because I think what you put in like 3 slides could have been 1 slide. And what you talked about, the problem, like if you're a woman, we know these problems intimately because we're all different shapes and sizes, and finding clothes is always an issue. And as a mom, finding clothes that your kids like is always an issue. So if you're going to resonate with someone, you're going to resonate with someone in 4 sentences instead of 6 paragraphs. So I would just really try and find a way to consolidate that on the front end. Like the problem is kind of obvious, and then more of your solution. Because I was really wondering, I'm like, okay, how is she going to make this supply chain work? How are, and do you have experience in manufacturing supply chain?
I have some just from the IT space. So I work very closely with implementing some of the technologies and logistics, but I'm partnered with another company and they provide the AI service. So we've been already talking about ways to implement AI in the warehouse. For example, I know major retailers use technology that scans the room and finds the product more quickly, for example. Well, they've reinvented that, but they do it with different technology using AI in a smaller scale. So their focus is small business and it's less costly. And
yeah, but does anyone in your team have experience in actually contracting manufacturing, like production of these items?
So I'm bringing someone on that does this today at a different company.
Okay, because I don't know how versed you are in fashion tech, but just you're going to have pattern makers. You're going to have, you know, because the factories won't do all of those things for you.
Right.
You're going to have to supply all of that, and then you're going to have there's a lot of stuff, and that's why I'm wondering if the stepping stone to creating custom products is to find a way to integrate with current manufacturers and just pair like actual bodies with the right clothes as like a stepping stone to undertaking manufacturing costs, because you know, one wrong run of a product will sink that $1 million budget.
So there's a flavor of that. There's also another company that provides the AI for design. They have a whole suite of tools for not only designing the products, but it also allows you to curate based on body shape. And so we were partnering. They ran into some delays, but they're going to integrate their software into our website, so we can start doing that.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be totally upfront. One of the challenges you're going to have is doing smaller size runs to accommodate all the sizes, and really being able to make those prices competitive, because the smaller the size run, the higher the pricing.
Mhm.
And if you're really trying to sort of like niche down on different body types and styles, you're going to have so many different products and probably way less size, like size runs. So you're really going to have to figure out what the balance is between pricing
Mhm.
and costing those out and being able to serve all of those body types. Like, and the other thing I would just consider too is, do you start with a specific set? Like, do you want to start with just plus sizes? Do you want to start with just petites? Like, find a niche and really figure it out with a small group before you like try and cover everyone.
That is correct. We are not developing the prototype for all body shapes yet. We wanted to focus on what we know exists widely, and then get informed data, which you can do from AI. You can keep learning, and tell us like, what are people mostly buying? What are they mostly ordering? And then we'll see those trends and then recalibrate inventory like that. We're trying to minimize risk as much as possible by through the customized approach. And again, the custom is not like from scratch. It's more of, this designer makes these 3 products, for example, whatever they are, but they have our vision and mission in mind. And as a consumer, I like designer 1 versus designer 2. Say I can pick from 20 and I only like this one. So I'm going to get this custom design. And if they need to tweak something for me, then, I can work directly with that designer. But the thought is, we need to minimize, to your point,
and the same goes for advertising dollars. When you can really niche down and focus on a specific vertical, then you can focus your advertising dollars better too, and see a higher ROI. Okay, Jason, I know I hogged up too much time, so I'm passing it back.
No, that was great. Yeah, great feedback, questions.
Jason, can I make one quick comment?
Sure.
Can I make one quick comment, Jason?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is Pradeep Aradhya, and I'm actually talking to you from India, but I have invested in Boston. I live in Boston, and I thought I kind of fitted one of your 9 prototype shapes, so I figured I should make a comment. First of all, I agree with everything that Sarah and Renata have told you. I think focus is going to be your biggest problem, and focus is not just in manufacturing and advertising, but all the way through to a sale. If you cannot say this is a niche group within these 9 groups or something like that, with a couple of designers in there where the sales are going to be maximal, you're going to run through your budget awfully fast. So that's one thing that you should bear in mind. So focus, figure out your entire end-to-end production to sales model and how to scale that comes afterwards. The second thing that I want to say is, when you in your slides say advertising dollars, that's a bit of a red herring for most investors, including me. I don't know if the other people felt that here. Advertising dollars flow out the door awfully fast. I think you should instead call it marketing and say that you have to figure out what the most efficient way to reach your customers is going to be. But just by saying I'm going to put ads out and people are going to find me, the return rate ROI on advertising is very, very low. And investors know this, and they're not going to give you 35% to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, great advice there. And yeah, appreciate all the comments, feedback, and questions there. So I'm going to submit in the chat if you're interested in connecting with Robyn and Anjanette further. And excited to welcome our next presenter, Joseph, to the stage to introduce PWRON and PWRON by EVSPS.
Yes, Jason, I just want to say thank you so very much for this opportunity. I want to say thank you to our great cohort and all the guests, and actually even the guests that's not present, and they'll catch it on a replay, because I know I have a few friends of mine who are going to watch the replay of this. And all right, Jason, can you see this?
I can. Looks great. Take
All
it
right.
away.
All right, let's go. My name is Joseph Fish, the owner of EVSPS. Our product line is called PWRON. Our mission is to build and deliver an eco-friendly energy storage unit to every resident, business, and municipalities in the United States. Safe and clean, sustainable energy for everyone. Battery storage is critical. Batteries are not being stored in the right way. This can lead to personal and property damage. These lithium batteries catastrophes starts from a little smoke to some fire, and suddenly a lot of fire. Now you have an out of control fire situation, which is called thermal runaway. An example of one such case is this thermal runaway situation, which took 3 days to extinguish, and you'll see it here in the right-hand corner. Our unfair advantage to this issue would be how to compartmentalize each battery or each set of batteries with a self-contained monitoring system, fire detection, and fire suppression to eliminate the possibility of thermal runaway. Lithium batteries are little bombs that can cause serious personal and property damage. This is why we are focusing on your safety. This is why we are passionate about the independent energy solutions. I've worked for an organization that helped individuals breathe normally after several severe neck injuries using implant technology and batteries. Even with this great product out in the market, we heard all the time that individuals died in their homes due to blackout from severe weather conditions. In my opinion, this was a preventable situation. Everybody needs and deserves a safe energy system. As you notice from these pictures, you can be safe in your home with power even when your local power authority is offline. Or your next option would be you're in the dark and with the possibility of loss of life. This product was created to ensure your loved ones will have enough power to make it through the storm. How does our product work? This platform will capture the force of nature by using solar panels and wind turbines and sending energy into our safe fire detection and fire suppression battery storage unit, which has been military tested and approved. This mobile unit can act as a mini microgrid for external power needs, such as electrical equipment or supplying excess power to the grid. To further explain the process of testing our battery storage unit, one such testing was on board a military flight in the air, about 20,000 feet in the air. The military created a thermal runaway situation, and this unit was able to extinguish the fire to the point of no loss of life or property. Yes, this plane landed safely back at the base. Our market strategy goals will be targeting the governmental energy sectors, homeowners, and business energy storage markets due to the resilience and safety factors of our product. As you notice from this slide, projections from the Department of Energy and the National Green Bank all point towards the need for more energy renewable storage units. I'm sorry, I went too far. And how does our product impact society? Let's look at this example. If we had a Tesla battery storage unit and our mobile unit both have 10 batteries, and if each unit had a battery fire, the Tesla unit would go from 100% power to 0. Our mobile unit would go from 100% power to 90% power. Yes, each had a battery fire. However, our system has a built-in isolated battery system to help prevent thermal runaway. This will allow you to have energy and peace of mind. The combination of all these valuable equipment in one unit will create a time and space saver. The choice is easy. Acres of energy storage units, acres of solar panels, acres of windmills, or your original acre with an energy storage unit with a built-in renewable energy platform. What would you want on your property? Through our customer discovery, we found that future customers would like to see a product that has a cleaner energy source at a cost-effective price range, and at the same time, user-friendly with safety features. These are some of their major concerns. Our product will be competing with some of the larger organizations such as LG, ABB, and Tesla. These organizations will be concentrated on bigger over-the-top gigawatt and terawatt systems. At PWRON, we are concentrating on you and your power needs in a megawatt and a kilowatt situation. Once again, we believe by focusing on your safety. Financial growth of the product seems to be moving in an upward trajectory. From these market trends projections, as well as having personal conversations with several state energy directors, power authority managers, program managers from the Department of Energy, our country will need a quality energy storage unit to help to achieve net zero and to meet the customer's future energy needs. As per these projections from the quality market researchers, these market is expecting to have continuous growth for the next several years. Why invest into this organization? This concept is a problem solver to solve the problem of sustainable power. I will be a good steward to all employees, to each quality built within our product lines, and to your investments. You'll be investing into something more than a product. You'll be investing into a team whose mission is to make a positive difference in the energy sector. Our goal is to look for team members who are passionate about energy independence. To further our goal to build around our already proven battery storage system, next we will need to produce a quality renewable energy prototype, which will meet the expectations of our customers, third-party certification organizations, and for demo days. As you notice from the slide, and once again, my name is Joseph Fish, the owner of PWRON. I have many years of experience in manufacturing and research and development. Our team has amazing individuals. Our team will consist of a master fabricator, a financial officer who is a college professor, an office manager with many years of experience, and a business development manager. As a side note, this past week, our business development manager has started conversations with a few governmental organizations that are interested in this product and hoping to start a contract negotiations in the future. Our intention is to give you an alternate solution to your power needs in a safe manner. Our product is more than stored power in our box. It is stored energy resource in a mobile unit that is safer for you, your families, your community, and beyond. The problem we are solving is a lack of quality independent energy storage units and battery fires within these energy storage units. Our solution is an eco-friendly energy system with safety features that will give you the necessary power when you need it, and at the same time, safe enough to be placed on your personal property. We will be moving to make this world a better place. My question to you would be, are you willing to take a leap of faith in our abilities and concept? Do you want to be part of a winning team? If so, feel free to communicate with me after this presentation. Thank you. I look forward to your questions. That's the end, Jason.
Great job, Joseph. Excited to open up any audience questions here. Perfect. Yeah, if anyone has a question, feel free to unmic or submit through the chat.
Once again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who was able to listen to my presentation. I was really excited, and I really want to thank Jason and the team to help me move my business right along. Thank you.
Oh, great job. Yeah, so we had one question come in about just clarifying what stage of the product this is. You know, that it's been tested and you're building out prototypes. Can you clarify where you are in the actual development?
Yes, the energy storage unit, or the lithium battery storage unit, is a TLR 7, maybe 10.8, but we have not started on the full automated renewable energy unit. So I guess you could call that a TR1 or a TR2. Only thing that we've done with that, with the unit so far, I guess we haven't built a prototype yet, is we submitted schematics to, not only did I build the schematics on my own, but I submitted to an engineer out of Cambridge, or an engineering company in Cambridge, to have them proof my findings and my abilities. And so far it looks good. And now that's why we're looking for funding to move this product forward. And at the same time, we're looking for government assistance as well, because they actually looking for a product like this. Hopefully that answered your question. So it's not really one TR number, it's actually two, because we already have one. Now we're just trying to expand on it.
Great. Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to jump in. It looks like we have one more, and yeah, and then we'll go on to our last presenter, Tano, from there. Yeah, so the question here is, what enables you to have the fire suppression that Tesla, or the Tesla you mentioned, doesn't?
Okay, what is the difference? You're going to find out that they would have, and I think that was could have been a 20-foot unit that they were using. Actually, that's very common. And you're going to find out that most competitors out there will use the container itself as a shield to the public. And as one of my earlier slides with the fire, in your brand, what they end up doing is, if they have a fire, they're going to open up the top and let the fire flame out. The difference between most competitors and ourselves is most competitors will have either one bulkhead or maybe even two bulkheads, and that will separate the battery to the electrical equipment or to another battery section. Ours isolated what we have is each battery or each set of batteries isolated. And so the fire detection and the fire suppression will be upon that particular, you could call it maybe a locker or a space that's only concentrated for that. So each one is in our, let's say, 20-foot unit. So we'll have several of these. So if one goes out, the others are still producing power. It will create a couple alarms. And so the technician at hand will know how to check if it is a false alarm or a real fire that happened in there. And that could easily happen because if you get hacked, they can suppress the battery to make it go into thermal runaway. They can have counterfeit batteries, or the battery's just old. And so the battery can flame up. You know, so that's why you set an alarm to have a technician check it. If the technician discovered that it did go into thermal runaway, which as I point out, it will not cascade to other batteries, then they'll ask for replacements. They'll just do a simple unhook, take it out, put another one in, hook it up, and then they'll be right back online. So that is a difference. We're not replacing the whole 24 unit. We're just replacing each module down the line, whichever found if it went into thermal runaway. So that is the basic difference. That's why we were thinking safety first over higher amounts of power.
Perfect. Yeah, no, great response there. Great questions. And I'm going to submit in the chat for anybody to put their interest in PWRON. Yeah, great presentation. Excited to turn it over to Tano as our last presenter here to introduce Caira. And I'll turn the floor over to you to take it away.
Thank you so much, Jason. Let me share. I'm good.
Perfect. Looks good.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for all for showing up your cameras. It's always nice to see and feel that we're talking to real humans back there. And thank you for the Prepare for VC team. It's been an awesome 4 months with you, and congratulations to all my cohort colleagues. And I'm the closer, so let's go. Well, first of all, you know that the edtech scenario, the education scenario, has changed hardcore this last year. We're facing a lot of problems. I've been 9 years working in international education. I was an international student myself. But most problems talking with our clients, institutions, education providers go with uncertainty, loss of authority, disconnection, and change in the decision-making procedures, especially in recruitment. For institutions, this means competition is rising with online education, hybrid models, international education all over the place. They are far more disconnected from students. There's no more campus life. It's been difficult to communicate with them. They are not as digital as most people think, especially thinking about tier 2, tier 3. The market is going down in higher ed, people choosing other options, staying home, maybe taking a sabbatical year or looking for a job. And institutions are not adapted to this new market at all. For students at the same time, obviously offer has increased. They don't believe traditional advertising. They don't believe educators or sellers. They use new media. The new authority for them is influencers. It's peer-to-peer, it's Twitch, it's TikTok, it's whatever your friends say. And they doubt the need of going to college. They think that maybe they can go have a 6-month course and they're done. So my name is Tano Lopez. I'm the CEO of Caira Education, and we connect students with their perfect institution. That's what we do. Our MVP 1.0 version is in the market. It looks as a social network, but it's more than a social network. It's a platform where students can actually find the academic institution that best fits their needs. How do we know that that institution best fits their needs? Well, we go over a patented student profiling system done by our group of psychologists, which with different questions gets to know the student in a way that no one has ever asked him. We looked into human values, entrepreneurship mindset, and other skills of the future that are not contemplated nowadays in the classic degrees A to B, C degrees that they get in high school. And once we get this profile, we put all the information in a module done in Salesforce by our own team of developers. And that information looks like this in our social network. So you can log in, everything you see right now is live and in the market. Looks like the UX of a traditional social network, so very easy to use, especially for students. And once we know their interest and we get to know their interactions, we can start delivering new academic opportunities like scholarships, programs, both online, international, or other country. We have all the features like search, explore, filter, save, manage the content in any way that you can think of. So what we do for students, as you've seen, we test them, we ask questions, we make profiles, we network, we consult, and once the student receives all the content and can interact with all these institutions, we can give him a better solution. And as for institutions, the same thing. Create a profile, put your offers, start interacting, use better contact, use alumni, use former students, create webinars, create chats, online, podcasts, deliver that content to our students, and that's what we believe that the recruitment of the future looks like. Our product looks a little bit like LinkedIn of international education. We've been told sometimes when people open it for the same time. For me, the key here is user-generated content. It's leaving the institution on a way to create their own content, leaving the student to create their own content, and just putting the tools so they can connect in an international and intelligent manner. Obviously, the market is huge. I started selling international education 9 years ago, and I only sold US institutions and soccer scholarships, which was my case. But now we're selling online education, summer courses, language courses, obviously traditional education, anything you can think of. 135 million students, new students reach the market every year. And not out of those 135, but out of every student out there, more than 100 million are already deciding to study online, which is a huge leap in the market. 6 million before COVID chose to change countries when getting to choose a new career. Our business model, I love it because it's free. So it's free for everyone, free to use, and we are a kind of marketplace. So we get paid every time that a student actually hires a degree or starts studying something. So we can deliver all our value for free. We can onboard students for free, institutions for free. And once we get success, that's when we get pretty high fees, by the way, but they work as an industry standard. EdTech, as you know, it's a huge market, a lot of competitors, a lot of people in the space. For example, going digital and international, you can get a lot of pages like eMagister, QS rankings, Educatly, more like catalogs. Getting traditional, you have Education First, Idea, more of B2C kind of customers and kind of marketplace. I think our key difference, by the way, is the use of community, how we let everyone interact. We don't make decisions. We don't have to be, talking with the family all day, trying to the kid to get him here or there because we make more money. That's the traditional way of working. And I know it because I ran an agency like that 9 years ago. And also the switch in our business model from B2C, that traditional, to B2B, would be like the people who sell leads and all these companies that act as catalogs. We like to think of our business model like a peer-to-peer to be. So we let the people interact with other peers, forming alumni, content, real stuff, and then choose where to study. Once you've chosen where to study and you pay, then we get paid. So we are a completely success-based company. Our KYC is our own, our Salesforce module that you've seen, the use of IA, technology makes us very, very scalable. On our roadmap, I started Caira with a team in 2020, just a week before the end of the world. We were trying to raise 350K. That pre-seed round is nearly closed right now, which is very, 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 very good news. Our online MVP started in Q2 of this own year. The beta testing was done this summer with real clients, both students and institutions. And looking into the future, our big launch is going to be this September. In less than 3 weeks, Caira will be fully online with all its features for institutions and students to register. With those metrics and with paid media, the results from paid media, CAC, lifetime value, etc., we want to reach 150 institutions and create stable traffic. Once we have that going on, beginning of the year, we want to launch the real deal, a seed round in the US, which actually was my roadmap in 2020. It couldn't happen. and the V2 with some features and the paid peer-to-peer model that you're going to see in just a minute. How do we know that this works? Well, 9 years working with okay, sorry, some interruption there. Some of the metrics that we've known for right now, some collaborations already signed with the 10-15% commission based. I've worked with more than 80 universities in the past, delivering them students and working with them internationally. In our network, maybe a macro, more than 1,000 institutions. Plus our cost per lead and our cost per acquisition in the student side has always been so low with previous experiences, like with the previous company that we had. We did a lot of paid media, and it was really low. That for our metrics. In our team, perfect conjunction between senior and junior. I'm taking care of marketing and sales. I graduated in the US in 2012 of my double major. Marketing design by Javi. Alex taking care of the data and algorithms. He's our chief intelligence. He's a psychologist who's actually designed the test that you've seen that provides us with unique data. David in terms of brand and media, and Jose, which is our senior developer, CTO, taking care of software development. Really strong team of advisors, including Alan Greenberg from Apple, Pablo from EDT Partners, all in education space and looking to expand. We've been in the NYU accelerator in 2018. We partnered with Santander. Actually, I was an external advisor for international education for Santander Bank, and a lot of projects ongoing. The Caira atmosphere that the last years have been crazy. From our predictions, we have like 1,000 or 1,500 average ticket once a student buys higher education, a little lower when he buys a course, summer course, language course. But on average, we put like 1,000 so we can make predictions. As you see, going over 5,000 users in the next 2-3 years, we'll report close to 7 million in revenue. Also, in the future, some ideas for the V2 Q1 of next year, distributing money from other platforms in terms of scholarships, using blockchain to protect our security and documents, more profiles, more than students and institutions like parents, teachers, get a glimpse into the job market, helping our students get a first job, build a foundation so we can crowdfund money for our students, and of course our own academic content, which actually we are launching the beta at the end of this year with two courses. This is the pre-seed round, the one we're closing. Still a little space left if anyone interested in this round, which will close at $350K, 300K euros, which we are using quite averagely. Technology, staff, marketing. I mean, nothing special about that. And the real deal will be launching at the beginning of next year, a 2.5 million seed round, convertible note. To make the whole pre-seed seed round of Caira close to the $3 million. That's our goal. Go think about the cap table. Founders maintain control at the Series A. We are really close group. And also our exit strategy, as I told you before, we're building everything on Salesforce, spending a lot of money, a lot of intelligence in the Salesforce backend. This is because, as you can see in the graphics, Salesforce is really close and looking very deep into education right now. And we are focusing on that left side. You can see there recruiting and admissions, student recruiting, admissions, enrollment, applicant portals, and marketing and communications. That's not me who I wrote it. It's actually Salesforce. I know it sounds like the core business of our company. So it will be really interesting. We're working hand in hand with them, and it will be tremendous to have an exit strategy with them. I know I went a little bit over the time. I hope you enjoyed it and it was worth it. All the Caira team says thank you from Spain, and super eager to listen to your questions. Thank you for listening.
Great job, Tano. Excited to hear any questions, comments, or feedback here, and yeah, great presentation.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Tano? Oh yeah, Andres, I saw you.
Hey, Tano.
Hey, Andres.
Great job.
How are you doing? Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed the presentation. Just go back if you could and just explain the I guess the marketplace. The students are signing up on the platform and you're curating partnerships with universities and other providers of content. Is that correct? and
Mhm.
they can build a profile, take this assessment or test, and then the platform will guide them to different. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. Yeah.
And where do you
That
see
is-
the market? I mean, the launch. So the angel round. Are you said you're already live? Are you in Europe? Are you in Latin America? Where are the students coming from?
We're based in Spain.
Yep.
Right now, the majority of our clients are coming from Spain. Me and the rest of the team, we've been working 9 years with a B2C model, just charging students for our know-how. Caira comes as the evolution, that natural evolution that we've seen, especially in 2018 when we were in the NYU accelerator. You know, they told us this is a clear SaaS B2B model and you are losing scalability with students. And most of our students came from Spain. Most of our institutions came from the US. Now opening to Latin America, obvious reasons, language, culture, and we are doing a great work there. And also because some of our advisors, especially EDT partners, are focused on Northern Europe and Africa. We're trying, see how those markets work. But as for right now, most of the customers coming from Latin America, Spanish-speaking Spain, and most institutions coming from the US.
Okay. And then what's been if you can share, what's been I guess the process of signing institutions? As you mentioned at the very first couple slides, the COVID forced a lot of the tier 2 and tier 3 who were heavily relying on students in chairs to really pivot quickly. Are those the folks that are most likely to want to partner with you now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We never focused, and even in my previous experiences, we never focused on tier 1. I mean, it's not, why would you offer students to Harvard, Stanford, who are leaving 90% out of people who apply, right? But here, there's a huge market in tier 2, tier 3 now, especially with the online programs. And this pivoting due to COVID made them create new programs. So the good thing about new programs is they don't have experience selling them. They don't know who the target is, and we help them there. Our intelligence lets them say, okay, your content is being used by this kind of folks, by this kind of people with this average, whatever you need, age, country from residence, whatever. So this data is helping them know when they have to launch a new product, even if it's online, international, or whatever. We also provide data and we help them design that content. We're not only, like an intermediary, but we actually help them. And that's where Salesforce does a great job, because we integrate with the Salesforce module already working in the university. We can cross a lot of data, and we can help them a lot in getting new leads and new sales.
Great. And last question, I appreciate it, is from a revenue model standpoint, you sign a partnership with the university and you get a small percentage of the student revenue that comes from that, whatever they sign. Yep.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's given a very, very good leverage in terms of onboarding, because the product is free to use, the demo is free to use. So once you approach a university with the demo version, they're okay, I want to see more. And in case I make sales, I'll be super happy to pay you. Actually, one of our clients called the European Open Business School, 100% online school based in Europe. I was talking with the CEO like 2 months ago, and I told him, okay, for the first 3 candidates that buy your product, I get a 10%. After the third one, I get a 15%. And the guy was like, I would love to pay you a lot of 15%. He wants to sell. I mean, that margins, the commercial margins or agency margins, or whatever you want to call it, are already on the budget. So no one gets, crazy over us having a percentage of the sale. They actually work with that, and they're super happy that we work on success. They know that way we get engaged and we get it going more than if they pay a fee or subscription method. That, we also thought about it, but I guess success fee is the best one. Thank you for your questions, Andres.
Yeah, great questions, great responses there. Does anybody else have any questions for Tano as well? If not, just submit it through the chat to express your interest in connecting and learning more about Caira. Really appreciate really appreciate everybody coming out, all the investors joining us today, and all of our startups. Congratulations once again for completing the program and being part of this demo day experience. It's been great to work with all of you throughout the last 16 weeks, and yeah, and we're excited. We're going to actually be doing, we'll let some of our other companies, they're going to be part of the next, or part of our alumni program now. So now we're pretty much doubled in size after our 3 cohorts, leading into our 4th cohorts we're gearing up for. And so they're going to be joining that. We're going to be doing some events and other initiatives, keep everybody engaged and moving forward on their next start of their ventures here. So again, anybody you're interested in connecting with from today, definitely reach out, connect there. We'll send a follow-up email as well. And just want to thank everybody for being here and being part of this experience.
Thank you so much, Jason and the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jason.
Thanks. Yeah, and everybody in our cohort will be sending out a follow-up later today as well. And for all the audience members, we'll share the recording and connections to join and continue the conversation.